Hello and welcome to day 2 of our E3 coverage here at Gamereactor Live. We're coming to you from the absolutely awesome West Hollywood quarters. We still have to come up with a tag name for it. We do have one, but again, that's post-watershed. So if you have any suggestions on the chat for what we should name this place, crown it with something suitably glorifying for the E3 period, then let us know and we should call it that from now on in. But
I think the Gamereactor Mansion is kind of...
It's stale. Gamereactor Mansion.
It is.
The crib sounds a little bit too exhibit style.
Yeah.
So we'll come up with something, or you guys will come up with something, because we're too brain dead from far too many games yesterday.
A church.
Yeah, I don't want to see religious pickets outside the front door. I'd like to sleep during the night.
Such a high ceiling here. I think that's...
God may be in the building.
Yes.
Actually, God is probably up there. No crucifixes, though. Anyway, enough about that. Segue. Obviously, we had day 1 of the show floor yesterday. First few interviews. Now, I've got to ask you about this because, as usual, as most years, we split and divide and basically cross over maybe twice, 3 times during the day. Did you find it a little bit like just limp yesterday? It felt there's no real energy about the place. Even the show floor seemed a bit.
It's a little bit like a half-deflated balloon, and I think the reason for that is basically because there are fewer AAA titles, and they take a lot of space on the floor, so it feels a little bit more like there's room. Doesn't feel as condensed and packed as it usually is. Just looking at EA, for instance, they got 2 big games and Titanfall DLC they're talking about, plus the sport games. Normally they'd have maybe 2 or 3 other big titles as well, and a lot of publishers are just like that, a little bit fewer games than they usually normally have to take up space on the show floor. So instead there's a little bit of a void there.
I noticed that with we dropped by Nintendo's area because we hadn't been in that hall all day. Okay, fair enough, it was like 10 to 6, doors closed at 6, but the majority of the machines there, it seemed to me, was just Smash Brothers, which obviously people do want to play, and there were queues, but again, it was like, I didn't even see like a trailer for the new Zelda, and I knew that was like obviously an announcement off the Direct yesterday, but I thought they would have had something like some dedicated stand, even though it was hands off, even though it was a bare basic, just to announce, hey, this is here, this is coming, get excited.
Yeah.
But
too soon,
unfortunately, seems to be. And with all those games slipping to 2015 and 16, too soon for a lot of things. Though I did hear, and I will try and find this out today, there is a replica full-size Batmobile on the Warner Bros. booth. I need to see that thing and possibly sit in it and maybe lick it.
Well, I was probably most impressed by the Evolve monster.
Oh, big. Oh, good God, man!
Is it the Goliath that they had?
Yes, it's the first. It's the first one we saw. Though they positioned it right by the front doors, so when the doors opened, everyone came in and went, "Oh, hold, watch." No one else could get in. It was a little bit like that, but they definitely made an impression with that.
Absolutely.
But I was talking to one of the PR guys for Battlefield Frontline, so EA Hardline. See, I've done it again. Hardline. So basically, we have 2K and EA basically side by side, and he was on the side where he was letting people in to play Battlefield Hardline. And he was just like, I'm going to get so sick to death of this video at the end of the day, because they had a big, massive projector behind the Evolve monster. It was just looping the Evolve trailer with that particular song. He's just like, it's 45 minutes into day 1, and I hate this already. Because one thing, whilst we can freely move about the booths and check out things, there are people there that are stationed there all day and every day for the entire run.
People are stationed right beneath one of those giant screens with the giant speakers.
Oh God, I don't know how those people, they must have earplugs. Surely it says, you want to go to E3, you want to help us out as a company, here's some earplugs. If you don't wear them, it's your own fault.
Everybody lines up before the day and there's a mallet. Someone hits them in the head.
But to be honest, yesterday I personally didn't go any further than the EA booth. The EA booth was the first thing through the front doors, and that's where I stayed. So, swept up some nice interviews with the Dragon Age guys, Battlefield guys, and then a slew of sports titles, which he helped me out with the NHL stuff. Interesting things, a few little bits and pieces here and there. Obviously, with all our video interviews that we're doing during E3, you will be seeing them go up live on the site over the coming days and weeks.
Some of them are up already.
Yeah.
I think We did get Entwined interview up yesterday.
Nice.
Game that's already out there, so we thought we'd rush that
sense.
up a little bit. The Division interview that you did is already up as well. So we're getting some stuff up there. We're getting the GoPro blogs that we're doing from the floor.
Shooting from the hip.
Yes, giving you a little bit of that E3 experience, hopefully. Yeah, I mean, my day started out with helping you out with the NHL interview. Obviously, ice hockey isn't perhaps UK's most premier sport.
I like it, but I never know where to see it over here. So
it's funny, you know, the finals of the Stanley Cup are right next door at Staples Center this year. I'm not even keeping up to date during E3. I'm not keeping up to date on the scores and stuff, but you can certainly. The NHL producer was very happy about the vibe that was around. You know, it's not every day that E3 is next to the biggest event in your sport, right next door.
So was he basically going clock watching so you could get out?
Absolutely, and he was also like, because inside of the Staples Center they showed the away game against Rangers up in New York yesterday before the first day of E3. So the whole area is full of fans. A lot of people going around there. So there's the hockey vibe there. It would have been insane if the Lakers had played the NBA Finals or something at the same time. That has happened at E3 as well. That is a bigger thing for LA than the hockey.
Yeah, I think the city moves like it's an earthquake.
Yeah, I mean there were even riots there during E3 one year when they won it. So hopefully none of that if the Kings follow through here.
We'll see how it goes. Now, I wrapped up with EA and shot straight across to Konami to sit down for 40 glorious minutes for Metal Gear Solid 5 Phantom Pain, which was fantastic. It was not a hugely surprising demo because we've seen the clips already of Snake basically exploring that sort of vast sandstorm-touched wilderness, sandy wilderness in prior trailers. And it was just a little slip round with that, just exploring the base as he's trying to find and locate Miller, who's been kidnapped before the demo starts. But one of the little cool mechanics they showed off was basically the ability to essentially stick a balloon on anybody you knock down. Should I say anyone and anything? And the balloon opens up and they shoot off to the sky and get sent back to Mother Base. So the idea is the big reveal at the end of the demo is Mother Base is a fully customizable base to return to after each mission and basically do it, spec it up. You can see everybody that you essentially kidnap and recruit to your army start appearing in the base, and you can get attacks while in your base as well. So it's not just like a home base just to relax, chill out. Occasionally there'll be sort of like dynamic attacks that will happen from overseas. But the great thing was, they were like, yeah, you do balloons of soldiers. And they went, I think we should do this goat. Next do. And shoots the goat, sticks it off. Sorry, should I say tranquilizes the goat rather than shoots it. Disappears off. Does it with cargo containers, does it with jeeps, everything. And I swear to God, it's one of those little small things that will never not stop being funny. Because as you're walking away, or you hear someone being catapulted up and screaming their fucking lungs off. But yeah, it was just... Metal Gear is one of those things that I was a huge fan of the first one. 2 was alright to me, and no, I actually quite liked Raiden. 3 started to lose me, and 4 I never really got into. So after being impressed by Ground Zero, certainly the mechanics of it, feeling very fluid and feeling like I'm in total control of Snake now, whereas 4 felt a little bit, God, healthy breakfast. Thank you, Lasse.
Well done.
Yeah. Where's my, where's the wine?
You can share.
Okay.
You can share.
Yeah, you can share, okay. What, the wine? I'm very much looking to 5, and this has done nothing to stop my enthusiasm for it. What about you? Anything highlights from yesterday that you saw?
Well, after helping you out with the NHL part, I had a long and very deep interview on Civilization Beyond Earth, and that's like I'm very excited about that game. Moving on, we did some. Actually, at the end of the day, we're skipping forward now. Probably the most impactful hands-on I had was Elite Dangerous. So I just stopped by Frontier Developments because we had a little time over there. And it's one of those games that I'd love to see just because it's, you know, it's obviously such an iconic franchise. And the first thing that blew me away was just, you know, the sheer scope of the galaxy that you're exploring. 4 billion stars is a ton. It's a number that you can't really grasp.
Yeah.
It's just a number. But when you see it and you zoom into every individual one, you just go from the Milky Way down to
Something awe-inspiring.
Yeah, and when they name it, I'm not sure there's enough letters to name it. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
You have to have long names for it and numbers and stuff. It's quite mind-boggling, and you know, just the idea of exploring that and sort of making that world your own is great. But then, of course, the next thing that happened was that I put on Oculus Rift, had the flight stick, the throttle, the flight stick, and you know, there was something going on in my body when I shut off and started fighting in space, and I could feel it, and it just immersed me completely. I tried it first with a controller because I'm a little bit conservative. Like, yeah, I'm probably more comfortable with a controller, so I played it with that first on the screen. But the difference playing
just the immersion factor,
to the Oculus and the flight stick and the throttle was just immense.
Was that at? Where was that? Was that at one of the
up
rooms?
in one of the meeting rooms?
Yeah, the meeting rooms. Yeah. Okay. I swung past that.
West Hall.
I swung past that because I just popped my head around the door because it was on my way to there's a Super Smash Brothers presentation yesterday.
That's where it was. Yeah.
I have to say about popping in. So basically, Alien Isolation on Oculus, Elite on Oculus now. I have to do.
Yeah.
I'm gonna have to find some time in the next.
And I have to find time for Morpheus as well.
Yeah.
Try that out.
Well, we should be popping around by Sony's lounge some point in the next 48 hours, so I'm sure we'll find some time.
I have worked my way through the games that are in the Sony lounge. We were there we did Little Big Planet 3, played a little bit of that as well. The co-op with what's his name, the big fellow and the small fellow, big and small.
Big fellow.
Toddler, Toddy.
Let's go for Toddy. Let's go for Toddy. I like Toddy.
Toddy.
Why is it not Toddy? But yeah, so you played it. Enjoyable.
It was, and obviously, and there's something that they don't want to talk about on camera, but there was some technical issues at the press conference.
Yeah, I heard a lot of lag, basically.
Yeah, and but it played real well, and it was a showcase that how they think that people will create levels using that character. Mm-hmm. So we played as two of that and combined. Mm-hmm. A lot of things like where you big size, shrink down, jump up. A lot of those kind of puzzles. A lot of fun playing around with the water as well, because when you're big in the water, you sink. Then you become the small one and you shoot up.
Like
yes,
like that,
out of
like
the water,
cork.
which is
excellent.
Really nice mechanic. And that really surprised me the first time I did it. Like, okay, what's going to happen now? Because you play around with everything and change size and trying to find out what it does. That was a cool thing that happened.
Nice.
Interesting also, it's Sumo Digital that's doing the game. Mm-hmm. So
really?
Yeah.
Shit.
They were apparently involved with with one of the additional things on Little Big Planet 2. So they're sort of part of the family. Now they get to do the first sort of proper big.
It's just crazy. It seems to be a thing of studios are introduced to other developers' franchises to help out, and then it's like, okay, if you pass the grade, son, you can come in. All right, that's great. Actually, that makes me feel good.
Yeah,
what we're doing.
Yeah. I mean, it's a quality studio, so we can rest assured that they're taking care of it. Of course, you'd think rather that they would be doing Little Big Planet Karting 2, but hey, here they are doing the platforming. And apparently the next thing they're going to reveal and show off is the creation. So they didn't show any of that. But
this is a Gamescom thing they're going to do?
Probably yes.
Hopefully some surprises there. It's always nice to see.
They teased that probably. We'll see some surprises there, absolutely. But yeah, did that. Also played a game called Counter-Spy that I thought was really nice. Like a 2D stealth game that has an interesting mechanic where you go into cover in 2D. Opens up like a 3D space, and you see a little bit more of the. You understand? It's almost like Fez in that sense that you switch the angle for it, and it becomes obviously you shoot from that position, so you a bit like a shooting gallery in that sense. So
that's nice.
Looked very nice.
Was that? That wasn't you because you didn't get up to the mix, did you? The event. So that was on.
That was at Sony. So it's coming out on PlayStation 3, PlayStation 4, PS Vita. I think it is also heading to mobile. Obviously, very sort of the controls lend themselves well to touch.
Yeah.
So See what else was there. Drive Club was there, and got a.
So it was there.
Yes, it was.
It just didn't.
And it's coming out.
I think it's coming out.
Yeah.
Right. Okay.
And looked. I would have to say it looks improved on last year. So they haven't just been sitting idly by.
Dicking away for an October release date. Yeah.
Yeah. So that was there, and the Order 1886 was playable. Didn't get time with it, but I'm doing that today. So yeah, I think that's one of the more interesting games that Sony have that is playable at the show. They also had Bloodborne in the corner, walkthrough demo. So we're getting to see a little bit more of that at E3 than what we saw at the press conference, which is nice.
That's going to be really interesting to see.
Yes, absolutely.
I think there's a lot of questions about how that's going to work. So hopefully some good things. I hit 3 for 3. I did my third Dark Souls 2 DLC interview. After the third time, I got no information.
No, really? You're keeping things in the dark?
I threatened to strangle the guy. he took it well. I was just like, come and tell me. So we got a few little bits about the DLC. One nice thing is, even if you don't have the DLC, you can actually appear in someone else's game. So if you're doing that co-op experience, you don't need the DLC. So they said that basically it's a nice little teaser for people that may be interested but don't want to fork out. It's going to be like $9.99 for each DLC pack, of which there'll be 3 released over the course of the rest of this year. And I said it'll be a nice little teaser pack, but it's definitely one of those hardcore for the hardcore moments. So don't go into it first thing. Though, to be fair, you could say that about anything of that game. Don't go into it first thing, or just don't go into it at all. Flip side of that, spent the evening at a Super Smash Brothers presentation, like I said, where they announced that Pac-Man is joining the roster, which is quite cool. So they had a Pac-Man, Mega Man, Mario, and Sonic battle royale to kick that off. They're using the sort of Pac-World design, character design for it, because obviously
so he's got arms.
Yeah, they couldn't do the pizza face basically, but he does convert into pizza, the old school retro version, for some of the super attacks.
Oh, nice!
Which is quite cool, and you can sort of call up various items, cherries and stuff like that, and use that during the battle. There's a nice little attack which I'll be interested to know which button combination kicks it off, where you'll shoot out a line of dots, and the line of dots will either curve up or curve down. You'll transform into the pizza face version, and then you'll just shoot through them. So I guess it's like a directional attack almost. Like, I don't know, like the various sort of Street Fighter things, depending on which button you hit, you either get a sort of lower or higher attack, which is quite nice. They just really sort of run through the 3DS version, Smash Run, which is that sort of 5-minute time limit thing. Show us a couple of things. Show us as well combination attacks and how you're going to be able to customize your characters this time round. And it just really went into big detail, and it was one of those situations where I genuinely wish I was a bigger Smash Bros player. Certainly half the audience were hardcore fans, and the Pac-Man reveal and the sort of detailing of that sort of customization got a huge reaction. Like the Pac-Man, they went nuts. I think that was actually a louder sort of roar than I've seen at some of the conferences. You know, smaller room, but still. And then there was a lot. It was great because when they're talking about the sort of details about the equipment and the customization and certainly the Mii characters, all you heard from Rangos is it's just sort of a funny in its own right. But directly after that, it was straight on to the mix, which I believe Dory and Glassa had done the earlier shift and got a few interviews for. Now, I haven't actually got talking to them prior to this, so I'm just going to check. Did you guys talk to Cappy from below?
They did not.
They did not. Okay. I was going to start talking about that and then segue into that, but I guess we're not going to do that because Dory's just jumped on.
No, we did not. I think the layout of the place was a bit confusing for my brain at the end of a long day at E3, so I don't think I actually managed to see everything.
It was like a C-shape rooftop bar, basically. So you come out the elevator, turn left, boom.
That's it.
Boom.
I turned right.
And you ended up in a small room and went, what?
I ended up doing 2 interviews there. One, I got to do interviews in front of the camera.
Yeah. More Dory at E3.
But yeah, I did an interview on a game called Aegis. I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly. Very interesting looking game. It's a Metroidvania type exploration mixed in with tower defense and crafting.
Nice.
Beautiful art style, pixel graphics with like Studio Ghibli influences and stuff. It's going to get kickstarted soon, and then we're going green light and that classic route of the indie game to try to get on Steam.
What was the interviews like? I mean, positive vibe, yeah?
I mean, it was a bit cramped up there, so it was a bit hard to, find the dev and then set up the shot and, actually try to get the interview off without somebody with a beer walking by
going, I love your game, man. I love that. There was such a positive vibe to that when we appeared. But I had that because I sat down to play Below, actually, and I was about 2 minutes into the demo when the developer just leapt over. He's like, do you start from the start? It's like, is this not stuff? No, don't take the headphones off. Let me get you. Don't play this game like that. It was crazy. It was just like, okay, calm down. But what I played was I just completely absorbed in it. That's the thing. If you're sitting, like you said, rooftop bar, hundreds of people milling about, talking really loudly, drunk, and you can sit down and play the sort of overhead, almost Zelda stroke, Dark Souls stroke, something else that I can't think of game, and get wholly absorbed in it and just forget everything. That's a really good Zelda game. It was one of those things I want to play more, but at the same time I want to go home and play this. So the idea is there's absolutely no tutorial, no real explanation of what you're doing. You pretty much just wake up and you're left to it. So
it's a roguelike, right?
Yeah, very much. And you control this really cute, almost looks like a cat character with a sword and shield.
The internet goes wild.
Cat with sword and shield. And then you're just left to just explore. So it sort of introduces the gameplay mechanics as you encounter dangers and various things. But the idea is you climb up to the top of this island and into a whole cavern, and you just work your way down. It almost feels like level, deeper level.
Yeah, it sounds like a classic roguelike.
But the art style is beautiful. The music is incredible. And
is it Ian Guthrie?
Doing the music, yes, indeed. But it's also the sense of this is a real world. So there's things out there to kill you, and they color code it really nicely. Obviously, it's just like anything with a red glowing eye is murderous, it's after you. But there's also this beautiful moment where because there's multiple paths through it, I came out on another beach with a wrecked ship. And there's like 4 or 5 dogs just sitting there, but white glowing eyes. But despite that, I was like, okay, maybe that indicates obviously they're friendly, but I'm not going to attack them. Maybe if you attack them, something changed. But I explored about the beach, and the dogs started just following me. So anytime I sat down to check something, they'd sit down beside me. And if I ranged further ahead, they started galloping across the sands. And then you go on the ship and you find like a bow and arrow. So got a bit of explanation how to use those. So there's crafting in it as well. And the idea is you pick up like clam shells and little grass roots and diamonds and stuff like that. And the idea is you can craft them, but they won't tell you what. It's just very much you find out, you explore, you work out what you need to do when you do it. But utterly compelling, and I just really want to play it again. They wouldn't say when the release date was, but they did say come check us out at Gamescom because we got a lot more to reveal, and I will definitely be there for that. So yeah, good stuff.
Yeah, I also did an interview on a game called Kyoto West, made by Teddy Diefenbach, that Bengt already interviewed
for Hyper Light
Drifter. Yeah, that he's also working on. But this is a game that he's making completely on his own, and it's a 4-person brawler. I love this resurgence of the 4-person multiplayer, like couch
local stuff,
multiplayer game. But I'm at the same time I'm kind of tired of it being just platforming. Like Towerfall. It's you just see it in 2D platforming. So, but this has a very refreshing look because it's like faux isometric. And kind of looks like paper crafted a little bit, and it's about Ronin with swords, so you can either slash or throw the sword, and it's you win 5 rounds and then you need to dominate, and it's it's going to be local and online as well, which is nice. And it just looked great.
Well, it was a surprise given the sheer number of sort of AAAs we saw yesterday. That the thing we were all taking out was the indie titles. As usual, they seem to sort of lead the way.
Yeah, but it's also because we kind of, those are the ones that you actually get kind of time to sit down and play before you do an interview.
You have to show off. You guys do the after hours?
Yes,
last night?
and continuing on the indie theme, because we'd already basically covered what Microsoft had themselves. So at the after hours. the after hours there. I should explain what that is first.
Yeah.
What happens is that the show floor closes at 6 o'clock, but Microsoft have this sort of thing where they get you back in to their booth at 6:30, so you get a couple of hours there.
No crowds. Not as many.
Except it took half an hour to get in.
It took half an hour because the system was not the most well organized thing I've ever been
That's
to.
quite smooth, but okay.
It took a while. I think they just had to wait a little bit longer to let people in because there's probably something that security said that they couldn't do it quite.
And there was something with checking as well. That's why at some point they were like, okay, you people who are signed up, get in.
Yeah, they sort of had to hurry things along a little bit.
Oh, okay. Well, once you got in?
Once I got in, the entire booth, Microsoft, playable with devs at most stations, so...
And way fewer people.
Way fewer people, beers and food. So a little bit nicer than the usual E3 experience. Of course, like I said, we'd already handled the interviews on most of the Microsoft titles. You played a little bit of Sunset Overdrive,
which I loved.
Yeah,
great.
Just to interject, this was the point. He's getting his energy drink. Nick's a grumpy Nick in the morning unless.
Got one of these from the game, which was kind of cool.
Here's a question. This was raised yesterday. We were just discussing this. Sunset Overdrive. What is it? I know it's the grinding, or we said about Jet Set Radio, the shooting monsters, but is the concept basically just taking back a city? I mean, how does it work? It's like a level structure, and you clear that level, and then you go to the next level?
I think it's mission-based open world.
Okay.
So there'll be missions to do.
But what we played is the multiplayer, so that's a little bit different.
What you played is the multiplayer.
Okay.
I also played a single-player mission, the one that they showed at the press conference. But yeah, it's an open world thing. You got mission. It's sort of like, I would say, Dead Rising, maybe.
Okay.
Sort of that
but
structure.
You have the ability to grind along. Okay.
So it's more mobile, more sort of stylish, but sort of the Dead Rising. Also, same approach to enemies, really. It's just grunts going along, and you shoot them if you want to.
You can ignore, or you can actually.
You can ignore a lot of them in single player, and then there will be bosses and encounters that you sort of have to take care of. So that's a little bit more structured than what you see in Dead Rising, where it's only really the bosses that sort of have that thing to them.
And in this, it's about having the multiplier up, or like the boost meter, or whatever it's called, and you keep that going up by either shooting someone or jumping or grinding. So if you fall on the ground, or and then if you do that, you need to continue killing people, and that's how you really get the points up.
Multiplier, okay.
Yeah, but the points aren't really that important to the single player.
No.
So that's really the multiplayer thing. But of course, in single player, you want to keep them up to have those special abilities and be able to use them. But then we basically hit the indie section.
I just want to say, again, the guns in that game is hilarious. That's what Insomniac does really well.
Yeah.
So
what type? Can you give us any examples?
One of the first ones they show was the gun that shoots records, which was I love that one.
Yeah. What's it called? Can't remember.
But there's a lot of that's really
fun sort of.
I think that what takes it apart from other games.
Yeah, the TNT Teddy as well. And there's
there's a freeze gun. Was fun.
The freeze gun.
That was fun with multiplayer. At one point I teamed up with another guy in one area, and I was like freezing dudes, and the other guy was shooting them.
The records. Yeah.
So that was pretty cool.
Yeah, and what I did once was I froze them, and then I did the dash.
Oh yeah, the melee attack. Yeah.
That's pretty nice as well.
Cool, excellent.
Very gory game, but in a fun way.
I just want to mention that I also played that game, and I guess how many press was it when we played the multiplayer?
It's 8.
No, it was you and me, and then 4 devs.
Numero uno, this guy right here.
Did you clean the table once again?
Yes.
Good man.
We were working together. What are you talking about?
Bullshit.
Every other. If we go into a multiplayer demo, you go, play these guys, beat them. It's like the Rising Incarnates thing.
Which did not happen when we played hashtag it draws red box. at all. Me and Bengt, we got one chance and we scored a lucky goal.
Lucky goal in the beginning.
And they turned to each other and said, okay, handicap off. And that was the only goal we scored.
Yeah.
And as good as it feels to trash at their own game, the exact opposite is the worst thing, because you almost don't feel like you even played the goddamn game. I was just pressing buttons, but they kept scoring.
Yeah, that's such a game that where, like, if you've played it a lot, you have such an advantage.
Yeah, I mean, it's very chaotic, but it's still so skill-based.
Absolutely. I mean, it's easy to pick up, but to really be good at it takes a lot of practice.
Yeah,
so.
for sure.
Yeah.
Thanks, Dory. Dory, one thing.
Yeah.
Taxi. You remind. Thank you. Well, for myself, went in to talk to the new Dead Island guys.
Yes.
We had a little bit of a presentation and then interview. Presentation was really just light bites, so to speak, just a conscious effort to reintroduce us to the Dead Island franchise and what they're doing with it this time. Nothing hugely different, to be honest with you. So presentation was basically it was almost like a proof of concept video from last year, just to give you an idea of running about a sort of open world California and rescuing survivors, taking out zombies, trying out different things. The humor's still there, you know. The idea is basically you can chop, slice, dice zombies as you run about and just have an incredibly fun time while you do it. But the video was quite patchy. I mean, they obviously said, look, this is way early code, this is nothing like it. But I was like, at that point watching it, you're like, it just looks like another Dead Island, so it's not really doing anything for me. And then they cut to, oh, by the way, this is what we've done now. This is some environmental sort of capture stuff, because we're working on the Unreal Engine from a couple of months ago. I was like, it's just, the difference was insane. I was like, I want to play that game. That game looks amazing. So mega detailed California. They said it's artistic interpretation, so they're pickpocketing, selecting landmarks, areas, what works for gameplay, sort of options and stuff. But we're talking to the Jaeger guys directly after, and they said they were huge fans of the original. Now every dev that takes over a franchise is going to say that. But you got an impression that maybe that's true, because they're coming off Spec Ops: The Line, and that was depressing as hell. You know, I think they needed to sort of just relax. You know, at some point, so they said they had several consoles set up in the office and sit and play Dead Island afterwards. I think that was just a way of, you know, easing off the pressure. So Deep Silver said they were looking for someone. Jaeger pitched, like the concept, and they've just basically started work from there. So the idea is they're working from the template, they're keeping it, and they're trying to bleed in too many differences, because they say that we're not trying to make a new game, we're trying to make a Dead Island game and be, you know, stay true to the franchise, stay true to the previous games. But I think there's going to be a little bit more of that Jaeger spirit in there. Yeah. Hopefully a bit cheerier than Spec Ops.
And I can imagine that it's hard to imagine Jaeger doing a game that's not going to be deep on story.
Yeah. But interesting point. Dory got interviewed at the end of our interview.
No.
Dory, do you want to come and tell that? It's not a small smidgen thing, but Dory.
I expressed my love for Spec Ops: The Line to the dev after the interview, and he said, "Oh wait a minute," and pulled out his phone. Can you repeat that?
Can you repeat that? Just tell me all about it.
Yeah, so I just basically gave the highlights of why I love Spec Ops: The Line and why people should, you know, get it. And he said, okay, yeah, and I'm gonna, you know, this is gonna go into my presentation next time.
At the studio next time.
For the dev team.
So apparently they just love hearing that. And it's nice to see devs actually wanting to hear that sort of feedback.
Yeah, and I think they kind of need it, because I guess it didn't sell as well as.
It was a torturous development as well. Yeah. I think they were put on a lot of pressure and really pushed towards the end to get it out. So, you know, I think they're happy to sort of. I think it had a heavy toll on the team.
Yeah, I didn't mention the tacked on multiplayer. I
was just about to say the single player is great, the multiplayer not so much.
I decided to be really nice.
Yeah. But that was a bit different. And usually too, because the guy's stuck in that booth for 3 days. It's a nice booth, but it's a single booth for 3 days. You gotta get some, you know,
At least he's not stuck on the show floor.
Yeah.
With the same 4 trailers running over and over.
Speaking of that, being stuck in a place, we did some indie interviews at the after hours at Microsoft.
Oh yeah.
And they lined up the indies very close to each other with the big Xbox Ones radiating a lot of heat. And apparently the AC didn't work in that section.
Great.
Awesome.
So it was
sweaty.
Yeah, Bengt after one interview was like, let's not do any more interviews.
it was brutal. I mean, the guy had a whole row of water bottles underneath his table because he just had to drink all the time.
Very
what
nice
was that game?
Spectra. Very nice game.
Yeah.
Was it the music was made by the guy who had done Super Hexagon?
Yeah.
And sort of very simple like that, where you're driving some sort of vehicle,
sort of amplitude-like, frequency-like,
driving on a road,
yeah.
and you have to pick up. You get points by picking up these cubes, and there's these boxes you have to avoid. And that's it.
Left and right.
Okay. And it just generates the level randomly, and then it goes faster and faster. There's also boosts you can hit. You go faster, and if you hit in between boxes with a narrow gap, you get bonus for that. And it just goes faster and faster and faster until see how far you can get.
Yeah.
Really fun.
Yeah.
Cool. See if we got some free time, swing by that way.
Yeah. It's funny that I've gotten hands-on with I think more games this year on the first day that I've gotten
same for us.
An entire E3 the past 3 years.
Yeah.
But the one game that I was like, I have to play this, that was Payday 2, and I tried to skip the line, and then it ended up not having enough time to actually play it, so I'm going to try again today.
Yeah.
That could be your thing over the next 2 days.
Yeah, standing there for 15 minutes waiting, because the demo takes like, 20, 30 minutes. I was like waiting there for 15 minutes, like, no, I have to run.
Yeah.
Next appointment.
So, but when we skipped out of that sort of narrow, sweaty...
Bengt was like, I can do one at the end of the...
Yeah, end of the line, I could do... And I saw a game that really struck me as something different, called White Knights. I don't know if you've heard anything about it. It's basically I think it's 3 guys from Eden Studios. They used to be at Eden Studios. They're doing a sort of a black and white, almost like an old school Alone in the Dark, just searching around, playing with puzzles with light and darkness, shadows, sort of like contrast in that sense. A little bit also sort of exploring, finding keys, gaining access through it, but just visually very striking. It's black and white, and you have the flashlight, and
is it first person, third person?
Third person, and a lot of different camera angles. They're going for that sort of old school survival horror thing where you got different camera angles all the time and seeing different things because of that. Very cool looking game, and it was funny because when speaking about what kind of game it was, the developers we all worked on Alone in the Dark 5. We really liked the first game. We didn't like Alone in the Dark 5 that much. It's a very funny moment. Obviously, it's a very sort of liberating thing for a lot of developers to step away from AAA. All the conditions, all the things where you're just a little cog in the big machine.
And that was what the Spectre guy talked about as well.
Yeah.
He worked on AAA stuff.
I think it was Bizarre Creations that these guys came from. I'm not 100% sure because it was very, very hot in there.
It's all a haze.
Yeah.
It's kind of funny that we're seeing more and more of that. I think, wasn't it last year that we found Tower of Guns? The devil that had worked on that very expensive MMO that crashed and burned in development, and then
just decided threw his hands up like
what was the name of the MMO that happened in the Amalur universe?
Copernicus.
So he was working on Copernicus. That went down in flames. So he decided, okay, I'm going full indie and made Tower of Guns, which is out now. I used to get it. It's awesome. But now, we're seeing more and more of that of these devs that have been working in. Big productions. Like the guy that made Teddy Diefenbach, who I talked about earlier, he worked at Disney, doing stuff with the Kinect.
I was going to say that just on the indie thing. I guess broaching that subject about there being an explosion of indies and it's harder to be seen within the crowd. I mean, you yourself, because you're a huge indie guy. Is it the visuals first that sort of capture you? I mean, obviously not. You're like that indie mix last night. What is it that makes you go? I want to check that out.
2 or 3 things that would get me to walk over to a table and try the game. First, visuals. Like if it has a very nice aesthetic style that I'm like, okay, that's interesting. I want to see what that's all about. Yeah. The second thing is if there's 4 guys holding a controller, laughing and pushing each other and having a nice time. Okay, I'm checking that out. And the third thing is face recognition as well. If I recognize the dev from a game that I've played, I'm like, okay, this guy does good stuff. I wanna try that game.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
And the funny thing is as well, you say, okay, I'm kind of into indie games, yes. But walking into the Indiecade, I'm like, I don't know anything.
There's a whole other level.
Yeah. I mean, I had a short presentation on Costume Quest 2. Unfortunately, they weren't doing video interviews, which I found out at the end of the presentation. But that looks really nice. They're going to be at Gamescom with the project lead probably, so we'll get an interview there hopefully.
Excellent.
But that looks really nice as well.
Well, we'll be going around the Devolver guys tomorrow, I think, anyway, that morning. They've set up camp in a trailer park just directly opposite the convention
center. Yeah, we did an interview on the pigeon dating
How to
simulator.
fool boyfriend.
How to fool a boyfriend.
Pigeon dating simulator.
And I got my Hotline Miami 2 t-shirt. I missed it last year, so that was the first thing at E3 for me actually. Locking down that t-shirt in medium before that.
Before that disappears.
Yeah.
1% of mediums they
Well,
have.
I've missed out on mediums for 2 things. So we might have to give away some overly large t-shirts towards the end of this.
Maybe what we should do is like tomorrow's like stream or Friday stream or whatnot. We get together all the swag and basically go, right, okay, we're going to hand this out.
I got a big pile of Elite Dangerous key rings as well.
A few little nice pieces. I haven't actually been inundated with t-shirts this time around.
No, there's not
getting less and
a ton of
less.
them.
Well, I have one, so I have more than I got the past 2 years. So.
That's good.
Well, I mean, this one is not coming off, but I did get a couple of other t-shirts that we could throw into I got one for Scalebound. That's a little bit too big for me.
Yeah.
And
I got one as well.
Yeah, and what else was there? There was something else as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got I Draw Red.
Yeah, I got that as well.
Ideator.
All right, let me get back into some games. I want to mention some.
Just talking about swag. Taxis.
So I sort of took the chance in the Sony Lounge whenever we were waiting on a dev to go play a game. And the first 3 times I went to Drive Club. So I think I played all the different cars and tracks they have there. And as Bengt said, I think it looks a lot better, it feels a lot better. So I think that will be the driving game for me this fall.
Okay.
They of course also have the white PS4.
Yeah, which we didn't mention the other day, but
I'm getting that for sure. That will be when I jump into next gen. Got 5 minutes on Minecraft, 5 minutes on Diablo on PS4.
For PS4, okay.
That's the reason I only did 5 minutes is because that's what you expect. But
they had the Vita version as well.
Yeah, I forgot to check that out, and I forgot to check out the new slimmer Vita you got hands on.
That was freaky. I hadn't used that.
Oh, you hadn't seen it before? No, okay.
No, I hadn't had it in my hands, and it's really, really thin.
Yeah,
it's amazingly thin.
Yeah,
and it's almost like I'm afraid to break it.
It's one of those things. Even though the screen's maybe not as top quality as the previous version is, the size of it would possibly make me shift simply because of the convenience of carrying that thing. I mean, my Vita at the moment is a very bulky case, so the thing sits in my bag, and I don't bring it with me if I'm not carrying a bag with me. This would be like, slip that in my pocket.
It doesn't use the proprietary plug. It's I think micro USB instead for the charging music. But I just want that OLED screen. That's the most important thing for me. What else? Little Big Planet you talked about. That was a lot of fun. I also got the experience that we talked about playing with friends, where you sort of screw up a little bit and kill your body and all that stuff. It was a lot of fun.
And sometimes you just go to the little guy and you run so fast that Nick.
Then I'm stuck here, and it has that you have 5 seconds to get back on screen, but you can't see where you are. So it's where do I need to jump to get?
that's the thing with that character. It really lends itself to that sort of thing, because when you're small, you're much faster. So if you leave someone behind, it's big.
But also the thing where you're big, when the platform goes down, and then you can shoot people off. Like if you then make yourself small, then the other guy will fly off as well. So that was a lot of fun. What else was that it? The Order we're saving for today.
Yeah.
Playing Far Cry today. I'm very excited to play that. We're going to line up for Morpheus today.
Yeah, sort of talking about what we actually do have on course for today. So definitely Morpheus, you guys going, that'll be fantastic. I'm going to try Valkyrie, which you highly recommend because you have a spin on that.
And hopefully it's a more fleshed out demo this time around.
Would you recommend do Valkyrie and then go and do Elite?
I think for me, like, Elite had sort of more impact. I mean, obviously Valkyrie is multiplayer, so there's the fun of that. But Elite is a little bit different, and it's more of a simulation. So, I mean, it's simple things like when I played it with the controller, you have heads-up displays to your left and right. That work like menus. They're holograms. So you move, you press B, move the sticks left, and you can look to your left inside the cockpit, and you can pick things from that menu. Using Oculus, you just move your head, look around, boom, and then you got the menu. And just little things like that immerse you. They'd also introduced the fact that when you move the flight stick, your hand moves, so you can see your hand move in Oculus, which really immerses you into that.
That makes a lot of sense for that sort of game as well, as we talked about. If it's a game where you have to walk, and then you have to push a stick to walk instead of, then it pulls you out a little bit.
Absolutely, and that's of course true for Valkyrie as well. But I'd say just something like I went into like it's like a planet like Saturn, like the rings. I went into that, and the way it works is like it's not like seamless all the way, but you move to a certain point, and then you get in closer to it, and then it opens up, and you see that the rings are just a lot of asteroids that have formed this belt around it, and I was trying to navigate them Han Solo style, and just a lot of that exploration is there. It's a lot of fun, and we all know that Elite is all that's just one part of it. You got the trade, you got all of that stuff as well. So just tremendously excited about the prospects of that, even though it's kind of like daunting, because there's a lot to learn. There's a lot to learn before you're sort of able to sort of freely play that game.
It's one of those things of, I mean, it maybe factors into like the racing genre and the idea that people want the authentic experience, get the steering wheel, get the 3 screens and stuff like that. And that's a huge investment financially, but obviously people want to do that. That's completely cool. Do you think with that immersion factor, with the fact that you really enjoy it, you would, even if it was just say for Elite, would you go out, get yourself a Rift, get yourself a copy of Elite, and get yourself some flight sticks just to experience that one game? Maybe.
I don't even know what those sticks cost, but I can imagine they're quite expensive. There's Cytec sticks and the throttle and the stick, so I think it's important to have both. Because the way the throttle works is very, very different than how you'd use anything else. So that combination is it's something else, but I probably wouldn't do it for just one game. And I'm not the kind of sim guy who would have a ton of games that I would play with. But at the same time, it's like, I don't know. If I felt like I had the time to really invest in that, it's never gonna happen. But if I felt like, okay, I got a month now where I'm not gonna do anything but play this kind of game.
I have a big pile of money.
I think that's the problem with that sort of game. Like, it's great and it's a lot of fun to try at a show, but like you really need to spend a lot of time in a game like that for me to buy an Oculus and buy all the setup. If you do, it would be awesome. Yeah, absolutely. Then again, Elite also lends itself to sort of, it's not EVE Online, so it's not that kind of thing where you don't get the experience if you sort of play it a little bit more bite-sized. So you can sort of go in and do things just for an hour or 2 hours and have fun and do that. It's not as sort of, it's not MMO in the same sense as EVE, and sort of with the corporations and all that stuff. So
it is a little bit less of a threshold to get into that, but you know, still just the flying is very sort of. There's a lot to learn about all the mechanics and all the things. You know, just making your light speed jump is like that's a whole little process. You have to put things on and the effect of doing that, like when you gotta align yourself to sort of hit the align yourself with the jump.
Yeah.
And when it sort of kicks in, that effect, and you know, playing it with headphones and all that stuff, yeah, very good, very nice.
I like that sort of level of escapism. I could definitely get into that. I think maybe I'll try and swing by later on today.
Yeah, it's definitely one of those games that you should take
time
15, 20 minutes out. Just
also,
down.
you can try it here, like, and it's hard just to do that another time where a lot of games have hands-on opportunities at other, you know, or we can get a code and try it. It's
well, I've got.
They're not going to ship you Oculus and flight sticks and all that.
Actually, I was told that I could get access to the alpha. So
nice. Excellent.
But then it won't be with the Oculus.
I won't have the Oculus.
That's my point.
Yeah,
like
what you'll do is you turn off all the lights. Go right up by the screen, put a turtle over your head like that. I'll be like,
maybe I'll buy an Oculus.
I'm considering going down and trying to get hands-on with Forza and that setup, because that's a setup that you can't just try anytime.
I think they got that for crew as well.
Yeah,
something like that. Yeah,
it's worth. We talked to the Forza guys before when they had that similar sort of setup at another event, and just it's interesting hearing them talking about it. The amount of effort and work they've put into just making that the absolute authentic experience. It's a fantastic piece of kit, but far exceeding most of our budgets, unfortunately. I think I've got a Valkyrie interview this morning, and I think that's pretty much near Elite. So I'm going to go do Elite, and then try and do the Alien. As well. I bumped into the Isolation guys yesterday when I was doing something else, and they're just like, I was like, I know. And I went, you brought another set of pants? I brought another set of pants. Don't worry, it's fine. But there's Isolation as well. Apparently, there's a newer build on the show floor because we actually did hands-on at a pre-E3 event a couple of weeks ago. That should be up on the site, if not now, very shortly. And again, very, very impressed by it. It was quite interesting because apparently the developers scrutinized all the feedback and all the previews from the initial reveal. And an overriding concern was the fact that whilst the You versus Alien concept was great, how are they going to stretch that across an 8, 9, 10 hour game? So they made a concerted effort to make the second demo give a little tease as to what the real aspects of the game is. And whilst you still have that sort of randomized encounter thing with the alien, you also have it with humans as well. So there's looters, and basically every encounter is slightly different, and having to get past them. So it's not necessarily kill them in the usual FPS sense. It's more a case of there's danger you have to avoid. Because again, this is a game that any sound, any loud noise will attract the alien. And that's what you don't want to have.
Can you use them as sort of bait?
You can use them to cancel each other out. So you had a group of looters basically looking to attack me, and you got the crafting system basically sort of set up. So you can basically build like a sonic emitter. You can build flamethrowers and stuff like that. Build a sonic emitter and then just drop it, and the noise it gets up attracts the alien. So there's a crossroads I got to, I could get past, and the second time I was playing through it, these guys appeared, hadn't been there the first time around. And I did that, so I crafted, it's like they're pointing guns at me saying, you've got a way to get back. I'm like, but I need to get... And I backtracked and just sat in that. Phenomenal. What happened next was just one of those shit your pants moments. I'm so glad this isn't happening to me. Because what I didn't notice was, as I was doing that and through it, one of the looters had come round and got behind me with a gun. So as I backed up and turned around, she started effing and blinding at me. So I basically just had to back up between them, because we're in a hospital room, between two gurneys, and duck down. And first you heard from that crossroads, all you heard was just scream, thump, thump, all this just wet sound everywhere. And then this just really low level hiss. And the other looter who's on the other side of the room started, oh my God, and start shooting. So I'm standing there with this very sort of narrow field of view, gurney there. So I'm looking into the room. I can't really see the crossroads, can't see the corner there. I know this looter's here, but I can't see her. And just its cheetah speed, that was the terrifying thing, because when you get attacked by this thing, it's pretty much, it's there and actually you're dead.
Yeah.
So to actually see it in motion was insane. So it was literally just like flash. It just, and this thing's, you know, it's like the old school Giger alien. It's like, what, 7-9 foot high, and this thing just catapulted past me, and you just heard it hit the lure full speed and just.
That's the thing about that alien, like, it's bigger than you, it's faster than you, it can hide, like, it's got every, like, aspect, it's got you.
Yeah, it was just phenomenal stuff, and there's synthetics in it as well. Obviously a big part of the alien mythos is synthetics. I mean, we had Kane in Alien, we had Bishop in Aliens. The synthetics in Isolation lean towards the more murderous Kane style. So whilst the 9-foot xenomorph is terrifying to see, it's even scarier when you've got this humanoid who's just ambling towards you, speaking very softly, that I'm going to kill you now, and you can't stop him, you can't kill him. It's just insane. So, and also, you can't even clash alien off synthetic, they just ignore each other. So there's enough permutations there that I'm more confident about this being a great experience. But I believe we're wrapping up now. We're running out of time. So just in terms of, let's sort of in conclusion, what are you guys looking at today? What can you talk about we're looking at today? And what are you excited about? Anything particular standing out?
I'm blanking now.
Hands-on with the Far Cry, hands-on with the Order. Oh, and we're doing Call of Duty later. Shout out to, I'm very excited that Optic Gaming won X Games. Can't wait to go home and watch the replay of that.
Yeah, I'm gonna see Bloodborne as well. So I'm excited to see what that. We only got a little bit of a teaser at the press conference, so I'm excited to see more of that. Not sure what else I'm doing today.
The Order as well.
Yeah, the Order.
The Order as well. Finally get to see that and get hands on with that. That's cool. As for myself, it's I'm doing the triple threat Deep Silver, so I'm finishing off a Metro and Homefront today. Homefront's very interesting.
Oh yeah.
There's a concept that should have been was going to be THQ's big franchise starter, backfired horribly.
It's great that it hasn't died. That someone is taking.
It's a very different game now. It's a very different beast to the sequel. So I like that idea of keeping the backstory going. Okay, we're going to try something a little bit different this time.
I always like the setting of it.
It's sort of like near future America takeover thing. Yeah, it sort of has that flashback to. I know everybody references Half-Life 2, but again, that sort of feel of police state, nothing you can do, you're going to get shot, you're going to get pulled out of your homes and everything, and they sort of key into that sort of fear of even your front doors, not a safety valve, you know. But that's us for today. Obviously, tomorrow, same thing, we'll be back here same time, hopefully, if we're not all too knackered, to talk about what we saw.
If we made it today, we'll make it every day.
What we saw today, what we're seeing tomorrow, keep checking the website for all the latest news coming out of E3, as well as video interviews, as I've stated. But until tomorrow, you guys have yourself a great evening. We're going to try and have ourselves a great day.